The first spiritual friend, meditator's friend that I want to talk about is not considered one of the immeasurables, but I wanted to include it because I think about this a lot and I love this quality. And it's called Mitra, or spiritual friendship. Usually it relates to the community that we keep around us. But first, I want to look at it in terms of our ability to be our own spiritual friends. What does it really mean? Because nowadays, everybody talks a lot about kindness towards self, self-compassion. We're too hard on ourselves. And that's true. That's all true. And I see the effects, on the young people I work with and on, adults of this. And I've suffered with it myself, growing up in a very demanding, competitive environment. But spiritual friendship is more or different than just being kind to ourselves, being a little easier on ourselves, being a little less self-critical. Spiritual friendship means that we're coming from this deep place that we were just contemplating. We're coming from that very deep place of aspiration, this place where human life and our life feels so precious to us. We don't have a moment to waste. We don't know when we're going to come back. Maybe we're going to be reborn as a slug. Where I am, I have these like big, thick tiger slugs outside, and they have so much stickiness, I can't even move them off the sidewalk. And they're about this long. So we might be reborn as a tiger slug. Nothing wrong with a tiger slug. They're really important in the process of evolution, but they don't have a great deal of opportunity to think about the things that we're talking about today. Spiritual friendship means that we are really caring about ourselves and our path in life, and that we're doing everything possible for ourselves to grow and deepen. And that we're really doing everything possible to evolve. And that's a big deal. Because it doesn't mean that we get on our case if we don't meditate, or if we overeat, or if we sleep in, or if we don't do our exercises. That's not being a spiritual friend. That's just being a nag. And that is profoundly uninspiring. And I don't know about you guys, but I have never really responded well to that. I was a bit of a rebel as a teenager. So if anyone tells me what to do, including myself, I will probably do the opposite. So being a spiritual friend means that this curiosity and recognition of the preciousness of our time and our life, so that we live in a way where we never have any regrets, where we're not wasting time. And if we waste time, but we don't waste time worrying about that. So it's so that we can look back on our lives and say, well, in any day's ups and downs, there were fluctuations. But by and large, I was oriented towards true north. And that was the direction that guided my life. So being a spiritual friend means that we extricate ourselves from things that really are quagmires. A lot of people have gotten lost in a lot of anger and agitation in response to political situations, media, without recognizing that quality of beingness is a very unhelpful and unskillful way to elevate the conversation and get where we want to go. So being a spiritual friend means we extricate ourselves from that. We recognize that whatever is triggering that level of agitation is probably designed to do that for means that aren't really related to the betterment of humanity. Just as an example, because for a while I saw so many deep practitioners really losing their equanimity. Not because things aren't concerning, things are concerning, but there's a quality that I'm speaking about, which is separate from the seriousness of different events happening and wars and suffering, which are important to care about. I'm not saying don't care. I'm just saying there's a certain quality of getting wound up because somebody else is triggering you to be wound up, and that's not very skillful. So when we're our spiritual friend, we recognize that our vision's getting cloudy. And we want to live a life that's inspiring to ourselves and to other people. So we shift so that we are living a life that is inspiring and wholesome and compassionate and is a reflection of the values that we hold most dear. So we're not waiting until the world is better to act like, we all want to be great when we're living in an enlightened world. We might not have that luxury in our lifetime. I mean, maybe some of the younger people on this call, but we probably won't have the luxury of living in an awakened world in our lifetime. So we're going to have to create that in that context in our lives, because it's so important. It's so important for ourselves and for everyone around us. And then we look for people throughout history or current people who that's how they live their lives, and we really study them. So that's part of being a spiritual friend. And then being a spiritual friend to those in our sphere, in our community, takes a lot of discrimination and a lot of courage. Sometimes we need to say things. Sometimes we need to not say what we want to say. And knowing the difference, knowing skillful means, what is truly going to help our spiritual friends evolve, and what is really simply because we want to control or dictate or, chisel away at their flaws. So being a spiritual friend to ourselves and to other people does take a tremendous amount of discrimination and courage. And that's why I feel like it is one of the meditators for friends, the one I really wanted to start with. And you can see that it's very different than self-care. Even though the result is we do feel more steady, we do feel stronger, and we do feel more awakened, lighter in ourselves, less weighed down by the troubles of the world and the troubles of people close to us. We all have people in our circles who are dealing with very difficult issues, health issues, addiction issues, mental health issues, the financial issues. So people have a lot on their plates, and to be there for them, we also need to be there for ourselves in a way where We're not really leaning on other people. When we're truly a spiritual friend to ourselves, it makes us available. When we're needy and needing from another, we're not real, we're living behind our edge. And when we're living behind our edge, we don't really grow. We can only really grow from the edge of ourselves. So if we're supporting ourselves to be at our edge, that's where we can benefit from all the love and support and insight and wisdom from our teachers and guides and friends and companions. And this concept of spiritual friendship helps us do that. So let's take some, let's take some time to do some meditation, just another short meditation to allow this reflection on spiritual friendship to really deepen in us. Holding that question in yourself is, now that you've looked at spiritual friendship and Mitra in this way, how can you be a better spiritual friend to yourself? Not just how can you not be so self-critical, but how can you, in the spirit of love and kindness, of metta, of wishing for your own happiness, how can you support your own positive growth and evolution? So just holding that as a question, just allow yourself to drop into yourself. And if it does help you to journal instead of meditate on this question, that's fine too. And allow yourself to rest. Rest in this sense of spaciousness where you're no longer missing that best friend, because as your own Kalyana Mitra, your own spiritual friend, you are perfectly meeting those needs that give you the strength and support to evolve. Just allow yourself to meditate in stillness for a bit. And experience that sense of fullness arising, that experience of one without a second, of no gap, nothing missing. And as you feel that fullness of the meditative current, allow that to spread throughout your being, reaching those tight corners of the self, those tight parts of our mind and regrets or fears, concerns. hurts and harms we've experienced. Just allow that Kalyana Mitra, that spiritual friendship, to permeate your being and to remove that sense of loneliness or something missing. And as we begin to release this short meditation, keep letting your heart expand and fill with the sense of Kalyana Mitra, of spiritual friendship. And knowing that as you continue to explore, you'll learn and become a better Kalyana Mitra for yourself and for others. And yet, there's nothing missing. There's no gap. And that's the profound paradox of the awakened condition, of our potential for awakened nature is present now, even if we still have so much to realize.